Honey ant. Honey ants are interesting species who thrive in deserts and other arid climates. And just like other ant colonies, every member has a job to do. Soldiers protect the colony from predators, princesses and drones mate to form new colonies, and the queen, who is usually the mother of all ants in the colony, gives the orders. But there is one other job that only some honey ants get. They become food storage and are called honeypot ants. During the rainy season when food is abundant, other worker ants feed those chosen ones with sweet nectar gathered from desert flowers, and sometimes liquids from insects killed by the colony. They are fed this liquid mouth to mouth, drop by drop. Their bellies become swollen, the size of small grapes, and turn into living larders. These ants attach themselves to the roof of the nest, which is good because they become too fat to move. During a drought or when nutrients become more scarce, worker ants will stroke the replete's antennae and the honeypot ant will regurgitate the liquid. The worker ant either eats the liquid itself or carries it to another member of the colony, including the queen. Goliath beetle. It should come as no surprise that the Goliath beetle is the largest of beetles on the planet. Sure, there are a few that have longer bodies, but they aren't anywhere near as heavy or as strong as the Goliath. These tough-looking beetles can grow from 2 to 4 inches long and can weigh as much as 3.5 ounces during the larval stage, but weigh about 2 ounces as an adult. There are 7 different subspecies of Goliath beetles, and they've been on the planet for the past 300 million years. They prefer warm climates and can be found in dense rainforests and tropical or subtropical regions of Africa. They also get their largest beetle title because of their amazing strength. They can lift something 850 times heavier than their own weight. The male of the species has a Y-shaped horn on its head, which it uses to fight for territory and a mate. Their 6 legs are equipped with sharp claws which allow them to climb trees, and yes, they can fly. The Goliath beetle is an important part of the ecosystem they inhabit because they eliminate decaying plants and animal matter. Honeybee. Right now, you're probably saying to yourself, what's so super about honeybees? Well, there's more than just a few amazing facts about this super insect, but we'll touch on just a few. There are around 25,000 different species of bees which have evolved to pollinate flowering plants, which are vital for our food supply. A colony of bees usually consists of 20,000 to 60,000 bees, and in order to produce 1 pound of honey, they need to gather nectar from 2 million flowers, with the average worker bee only making 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. It would take one bee flying 90,000 miles, about 3 times around the globe, to make that 1 pound of honey. And the worker bees? All females. While the males, called drones, do not work and only mate. In fact, they don't even have a stinger. It is the female who also protects the hive. The other incredibly amusing thing about the honeybee is when it finds a good source of nectar, it heads back to the hive and does a dance called the waggle dance, and shows the other bees where the flowers are in relation to the sun and the hive. An important thing to mention is that it was Einstein who said that if honeybees suddenly disappeared off the earth, man would only have about 4 years left to live. Super insect? You bet. Tiger moth. Some insects over the course of their evolution gained ears, and other insects simply gained the ability to outmaneuver their attackers. But the tiger moth learned a cool trick from a completely different species that loved to eat them: bats. When a tiger moth is attacked, it unleashes a series of its own ultrasonic clicks, which jams the clicking call of their pursuer and disrupts their ability to accurately gauge distances, and they can even fake an echo off a non-existent object. The technique was suggested to exist ever since researchers found that this moth was discovered to making a clicking sound much like bats decades ago. So, a researcher at Wake Forest University decided to put the tiger moth up against a brown bat to study it in a gladiatorial arena surveyed by high-speed infrared cameras and ultrasonic microphones. When the bats were set free against the moths in flight, they only managed to catch one after 5 different attempts. Even if the tiger moth was tethered onto a stump, the moth would send out its jamming signal and the bat would fumble its approach at the last moment. A related moth species was put into the arena to make sure the bats weren't defective, and they fared much worse and always became dinner. The tiger moth makes its clicking sound from an organ called a timbal. In another test, this was removed and the moths were eaten every time, proving that their clicks were behind the bat's failure to catch them. Bombardier beetle. When it comes to insect defenses, the bombardier beetle can do something that seems almost unreal. When threatened, these insects turn into a war machine, and we're not kidding. The bombardier beetle has the ability to spray burning caustic liquid from their backsides. This liquid can reach speeds of up to 22 miles per hour, and in the insect kingdom, that's incredibly fast. This noxious liquid can also reach a temperature of around 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, this can be painful to humans, and it's definitely lethal to smaller predators like ants that get a toxic shower of burning liquid instead of dinner. So how does the bombardier beetle accomplish this? The beetle mixes its chemical weapon inside glands in its abdomen, which consists of 2 chambers. The reservoir chamber contains a solution of hydrogen peroxide and hydroquinone. That's the fuel. It is inert by itself, but always on the cusp of extreme violence because the adjacent reaction chamber contains enzymes like peroxidase and catalase. That's the match to the fuel. The bombardier beetle can fire rapid blasts of between 368 and 735 pulses every second at an attacker, giving it plenty of time to get away. Water scorpion. While not being a true scorpion, these aquatic insects somewhat resemble a scorpion but have wings and 3 pairs of legs instead of 4. And although they live in the water, they are actually poor swimmers. They cling to twigs and leaves close to the surface face down, and their tail is used to get air from the water surface, much like a diving snorkel. They are ambush predators and can go without air for 30 minutes. When prey approaches, usually small insect larvae, water fleas, and water worms, they lunge forward and grab it with their powerful front limbs. Then they pierce their victim's body with their tube-like mouthpart called rostrum and suck out the insides. One interesting thing about the water scorpion is that they have pressure sensors on the underside of their abdomen that warn them when they're about ready to go off the deep end. Termite. Every homeowner dreads hearing that they have termites. Just like honeybees, ants, and other social insects, termites live in groups where the collective power of the colony far outstrips that of the individual. And in societies of 1 million or more, these creatures can be formidable architects. Forget for a moment that they will eat your house faster than a hungry kid with a Happy Meal. Termites can build mounds that can reach 17 feet high or higher. However, the interesting thing about termites is that their huge mounds are like a construction site without a foreman, because not a single termite is in charge of the project. Instead, it would seem that their collective plan is encoded in the collective mind of the colony. Their giant mounds can take 4 to 5 years to build, and they seem to have only one goal: build the mound faster than the weather can destroy it. These little terrors are called novelty detectors and are attuned to excitement and are always on the alert. If a problem is found, a termite runs to communicate the news with touch and vibrations, and a mass of roused termites fill their mouths with dirt and head towards the problem. This commotion attracts the rest of the colony, and within an hour, they can patch a hole in their mounds. And the queen? She does nothing but produce millions of eggs and can live for up to 15 years. Cicada. This curious bug doesn't sting, doesn't bite, and they don't buzz around. They do, however, do something that can annoy you quickly, and that's producing a loud and irritating sound. The interesting thing that the researcher wants to know is how such a tiny creature can produce such a powerful sound for its size. It creates its sound by using timbals, its corrugated exoskeleton. It's been found that they manage to produce their incredibly large sound because they have a unique anatomy that combines a ribbed membrane on their torso that vibrates when they deform their bodies. And they make this sound for one reason: to attract females, who respond by snapping their wings. It is the equivalent to the cicada putting on its best bedroom voice and uttering the insect equivalent of, "Hey, baby." Tiger beetle. The tiger beetle is a curious insect with some amazing abilities, and one that is not that cool. There are 2,600 species of these predatory insects, and the fastest of them can clock 5 miles per hour, covering 120 of its body lengths in just 1 second. Compare that to Usain Bolt, who covers just 5 body lengths a second, and to match the tiger beetle, we'd have to run 480 miles per hour. But here's the problem. They run so fast that their environment becomes a blur because their eyes can't grab enough light to form an image. However, they are so ridiculously quick that they can afford to stop, spot their prey again, and resume the chase, and ultimately catch it. Voodoo wasp. On this last insect, we'll just get to the horrific details. The Glyptopentales wasp, or voodoo wasp as it's called, lay their eggs inside the bodies of caterpillars, and on a single pass can quickly inject as many as 80 eggs. 2 weeks later, and these larvae burst through their host's skin a la Alien style. But if that wasn't grisly enough for you, the caterpillar remains alive and stays near the grubs as they spin their pupae and turn into adults. This caterpillar never moves and never feeds again. However, if some type of predator comes for the newly hatched wasps, it violently swings its head to protect the creatures that just sealed its fate. After the adult wasps fly off, the caterpillar eventually dies. We hope you enjoyed this video. We want to know which one of these you thought was the coolest. And if we missed one, tell us about it in the comments. And if you liked the video, then please subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when a new video arrives. Thanks for watching.